Gender, as we commonly understood it, is often defined as a binary concept: man or woman, male or female. This framework has shaped how societies view gender roles, behaviors, and identities for centuries. However, this binary system, which limits us to just two gender categories, cannot fully represent the complexity of the human experience. Breaking the gender binary invites us to rethink how we view gender and opens the door to a much more inclusive understanding of identity. The fact is that the gender binary is very much a social construct, meaning that it is something created by societies and not by natural or biological facts. Societies historically relied on the binary framework to categorize individuals based on their sex assigned at birth, believing that there were only two options, male or female. Modern research into psychology, sociology, biology, and gender studies have shown that gender is not a one-dimensional trait. Rather, it's a multifaceted kaleidoscope that exists on a spectrum. Gender identity is about how a person experiences their gender. It can align with your sex assigned at birth, also known as cisgender, or it can differ. These individuals may identify as transgender, non-binary, gender fluid, agender, or even another identity outside of the gender binary. Someone who identifies as non-binary might not see themselves as fully fitting into the category of man or woman. They might feel like both, neither, or somewhere in between. Gender fluid individuals may feel differently about their gender at different times. Agender people may not feel connected to gender at all. These identities show us that gender is not fixed or limited. It's personal and diverse. It is important to note, though, that breaking the gender binary is not about rejecting the idea of man and woman. Rather, it's about showing that there is more to gender than just two categories. By breaking the binary, we allow people to express themselves in authenticity, not forcing them into a box that they may not fit. Breaking the binary also challenges the rigid gender roles that have historically been imposed on us. For centuries, societies have told us that men must be strong, unemotional, and dominant, while women must be nurturing, and gentle, and submissive. These roles limit not only individual expression, but also the progress of society. When we break the gender binary, we start to dismantle those limiting stereotypes and open up a world where people can engage in all kinds of activities and relationships without the constraints of traditional gender norms. One important thing to note is that gender identity is different from biological sex. Biological sex refers to the physical characteristics, chromosomes, hormone levels, and reproductive organs that are typically categorized as male or female. However, even biological sex is not binary. Intersex conditions exist in which a person's body may not fit the traditional definitions of male or female. This further emphasizes that gender and sex are far from being as rigid as we may have believed. So why is it important to break the gender binary? For one, it promotes inclusivity. By acknowledging that gender is diverse, we make space for everyone to live authentically. We also foster equality, Because when we move away from binary thinking, we challenge systems that perpetuate discrimination based on gender. In fact, many of the issues faced by marginalized genders like non-binary or transgender people stem from being excluded or misunderstood because they don't fit neatly into the binary model. In education, in workplace, in our social lives, when we start to think of gender as a spectrum, we create more space for individuals to define themselves on their own terms without fear of rejection or ridicule. This is about respect. Respecting each person's identity, their unique experience of gender, and their right to define who they are. To break the binary is to recognize that human experience is complex and that identity in all its forms should be celebrated. It's about giving people the freedom to be who they are without being confined by narrow societal expectations. So the next time you encounter someone whose gender expression doesn't fit into the traditional boxes of man or woman, consider this. They are not the ones who are breaking the system. The system itself is what needs to evolve. Gender is a fluid, ever-changing spectrum, and breaking the binary is one step towards a more inclusive, compassionate, and diverse world. Thank you for following along on this series. If you'd like to know more, please like, comment, subscribe, and I will see you all in the next video.